This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on the state. And we start our final month of Sports Catastrophe, like the new videos and all that, with this famous CFL Grey Cup game. I can't believe I never did this game. But I did. But now I'm doing it. It's the 50th Grey Cup in 1962. Now, I know the Grey Cup started in 1909, but of course, World War I and II basically made things messy. So anyway, the 50th playing of the CFL Championship happened. And it was the 62 Grey Cup Championship game between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Ticats at Toronto's Exhibition Stadium. And the game was marred by one thing: fog. I know I talked about the Fog Bowl in the NFL when the Eagles played the Bears in 1988, but this was for a national championship and all that. So on Saturday, December 1st, 1962, in front of a nationwide audience in Canada of CBC, CTV, and of course SRC, the CBC French version, it happened. And then the USA would get it. ABC would be broadcasting it for Wide World of Sports and all that. So ABC would bring the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat of the Grey Cup to American viewers. So anyway, the game started out calmly and all that. Hamilton was up 6-0 at the end of one quarter, but by the second quarter, there was an ominous fog rolling in over the field, a combination of cold, moist, humid air coming from Lake Ontario, where Exhibition Stadium was close to, and of course called Mistake by the Lake, the Canadian version. The fog was thick enough that fans could not see the action on the field. Receivers could not see the ball after it left quarterback's hand, and punt returners could not find punts until they hit the ground. The fog became worse as the afternoon wore on. So anyway, thick fog rolled in prior to halftime, and the fans couldn't really see and all that. And the referees couldn't officiate and all that. So in the first quarter, Gurney Hanley got a touchdown run of 74 yards, but the extra point by Don Sudden was no good. And then Kenny Payne, the legendary quarterback from Iowa, who was Winnipeg's pivot, set up a Leo Lewis touchdown to score in the second quarter. They got the extra point to make it 7-6. Lewis took a handoff, ran wide, and then on a reverse, threw it to Charlie Shepard in the end zone, making it 14-6. Winnipeg, Hamilton cut the deficit to 14-12 on a touchdown run by Henley. Unfortunately, the Winnipeg would be lucky as Hamilton missed the extra point, so it was 14-12 for Hamilton. Down and all that. Southern finally made an extra point after a touchdown by Kuntz, making it 19-14. Winnipeg did get the lead back after a lateral pass went to Leo Lewis, and he ran for a touchdown for 30 yards. Bombers were up 21-19. And it looked pretty impressive indeed, as the Ticats had a chance to regain the lead before the end of the third quarter. I failed. But anyways, Joe Sugar decided to keep passing the ball. Joe Sugar actually passed away recently, this past week, winning 3 Grey Cups. I couldn't do a tribute match to Joe Sugar because, well, CFL doesn't really do that. You can't really find a CFL season to do that. Anyway, he completed a nice pass to Gurney Hanley and then a touchdown through to Dave Vitti. Winnipeg would take the lead on a touchdown by Shepard. Jerry James, the Winnipeg kicker and part-time hockey player for the Toronto Maple Leafs, hit another extra point. The Ticats had an opportunity to regain the lead before the end of the third quarter, but missed on a 30-yard field goal by Don Sutherland. Winnipeg conceded the single point, and it was 28-27. Unfortunately, the fog was so bad that TV cameras couldn't do anything. Of course, this is 1962, not the full-fledged TV coverage we have nowadays. And then also ABC couldn't do it. So CFL Commissioner Sid Halter told the referees to stop the game with 9 minutes left with Winnipeg at 20-27. After a delay, he said that the fog was going to still continue and they couldn't do anything about it. So they decided to postpone the game and move the final 9 minutes plus to the next day, Sunday, which was played in the sun. Somehow, in some way, even though that the conditions were way better, nobody scored a point, and Winnipeg won 28-27, making the dynasty for their fourth title in 5 years. So it was just unbelievable and all that. So anyway, there was a lot of things going on that. Now, of course, afternoon fog is a rare occurrence in most places, especially in Toronto, even though that it's by Exhibition Stadium. The Fog Bowl was one of several weather disasters to occur at Exhibition Stadium because the proximity to Lake Ontario made it susceptible to rapid weather changes and extreme conditions. It's where the only Major League game ever was played with snow on the field, and that was the inaugural game, April 7th, 1977. They didn't want to ruin Toronto fans' enthusiasm for the first ever Blue Jays game. So the commissioner said that they could play with snow on the field. It melted a little bit. And it didn't snow during the game. It just snowed before the game. And then practically, the Jays won that game 9-5. They actually had a game. I don't remember who the opponent was. I think it was Detroit. That game had to be suspended because of high wind. The 1982 Grey Cup, called the Rainbow, which I did years ago, which Edmonton beat Toronto in a massive quagmire. Of course, it wasn't as bad on the field as you think because the field was artificial turf. But anyway, it was played in a driving rain. And that led Toronto City Council to try to build a new stadium. And they built it right by the CN Tower. It was the Sky Dome, now known as Rogers Centre. But the retractable roof stadium was a godsend, if you will. During its life as a professional sports stadium, local press and Torontonians referred to Exhibition Stadium under the moniker Mistake by the Lake. Of course, Cleveland would be like, we have a mistake by the lake too, Cleveland Stadium. The 1962 Grey Cup was actually the first CFL game to be broadcast by an American TV network, let alone a Grey Cup. ABC's Wide World Sports wanted to carry the game in the U.S. The game started at 12:30 Eastern Time on CBC, but was shown on ABC via tape delay. They were making the game for 4 o'clock. So Jim McKay had to describe like what was going on at the Grey Cup and all that. The Sunday final 9 minutes was covered by CBC, but not by ABC. It was actually the only CFL game to air on a U.S. network until 1980 when ESPN bought broadcast rights to the league. So the fledgling ESPN network would carry the Grey Cup, including a famous Grey Cup 1981 telecast by Don Chevrier. So anyway, the CFL decided to make a crease in play in case the Grey Cup had to be suspended. So they basically said that if a suspension occurred before the end of the third quarter, it would be resumed at the same point the next day as was done in 1962. But if the fourth quarter had already begun, the CFL commissioner would choose between two options. One, if he considered that one team had a big lead, he would declare the game over. Or two, if the commissioner thought the game was still close, the score would carry over to the following day. But instead of play resuming at the point where it was led off, 2 10-minute halves would be played to make it fair for everyone. Fortunately, though, I don't think the CFL had to worry about that. But yeah, the Grey Cup was huge. 1962 was a huge year for the Grey Cup. And American audiences were probably like, why is this game even being played if the fog is ruining it? And kind of turned American fans off to the CFL for 18 years, if you will. So yeah, the Fog Bowl was huge in Canadian Grey Cup history. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.